Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world.
I was not responsible for that.
You know, behave yourself.
I wasn't.
Don't make me laugh while doing
your violence is too much.
Don't make me
Very
laugh.
powerful woman. Very powerful woman.
Powerful and influential woman.
How are you? Good morning.
What's your response?
I've never said anything. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Well, let's begin what's trending. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, on Tuesday announced that the commission has commenced its post-election review and has identified 215 electoral offenders that will face prosecution. Yakubu made the comments during a meeting with resident electoral commissioners at the INEC headquarters in Abuja. The chairman further acknowledged that there were some challenges during the 2023 general election, but despite divergent opinions about the outcome of the election, the overall outlook suggested that it was a fair reflection of a complex multi-party democracy.
Compared to some previous elections, we believe that the 2023 general election was one of the most meticulously prepared for in recent times. Learning from previous experiences, we started preparations immediately after the 2019 general election, carefully ticking the necessary boxes over a 4-year period. Among the positive stories is that the security challenge which threatened to derail the elections did not materialize. Concerns that the polls will be disrupted by the perennial insecurity across the country fizzled out on election day, as the elections were largely peaceful. Our records show that the success rate of the BVAS accreditation stands at 98% compared to the smart card readers' 29.2% during the 2019 general election. Our record shows that these elections have produced the most diverse outcomes ever produced since 1999. We are presently looking at all the evidence of infractions during the election, including the prosecution of electoral offenders. We are looking at the activities of all actors involved in the election, including some of our high-ranking officials. I can also confirm that we have received 215 case files from the Nigeria police following their arrest and the conclusion of investigation into electoral offenses arising from the 2023 general election. We are working with the Nigerian Bar Association, the NBA, to prosecute the alleged offenders. Already, the Bar Association has submitted a list of 427 lawyers across the country who have volunteered to render pro bono services to the Commission. They are not charging legal fees, but by mutual agreement, the Commission will provide a token amount to cover for filing fees and other expenses. We are grateful to the Nigerian Bar Association. Similarly, we are working with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission.
Well, I guess I'll join those electoral commissioners to applaud the lawyers who have offered to, render their services pro bono. I mean, it shows the intent. It shows that, the Nigerian people are involved in this whole electoral process and they want justice. But also, the EU Observer Mission report has been, making a lot of headways across, a lot of sectors. Social media, a lot of analysts have talked about the fact that the report is so accurate. As you know, they mentioned the fact that, trust in INEC has been severely damaged due to the, failure in uploading, especially the presidential result. The one thing I did not hear from Professor Mahmood Yakubu was what they were going to do about those technical glitches. He didn't mention the fact that, what it is, what they found. I hope that these 215 offenders, maybe they are part of those offenders who caused those technical glitches. We'll hope to find that. But let me take some, right? We'll find out if they are part of those offenders. But let me take a tweet from human rights activist Rinu Odwala. She quoted the EU Observer Mission report and wrote, "In many places, particularly in the South and Southeast, INEC didn't turn up at all, or turned up as late as 1 p.m. This suppressed voter participation. The overall conduct of opening polls was evaluated as bad or very bad in 21 out of 50 polling units. That's the EU report. Then she further quoted another part of the report saying, by the time INEC declared the presidential results, more than 25% of result sheets were still missing on the IREV portal without no clear explanation or justification, quoting the EU Election Observation Mission report. Dr. Abati.
Okay, one thing is this. After every election cycle, INEC reviews the process and tries to come up with lessons and a report and offer advice as to the way forward. So what Professor Mahmood Yakubu is doing is after a pattern. He did the same thing after the 2019 elections. At this particular meeting in Abuja yesterday, he was addressing resident electoral commissioners, as a prelude to that general review meeting. Now, you mentioned this European Union Observers Mission report. I think one of the things he said is that INEC, under his watch, has refused to respond to any election observers report because, one, it is better to listen, and that INEC would prefer to just listen to reactions. That, two, INEC is going to do a general review. Three, INEC cannot be responding because many of the issues involved are prejudicial. After all, those matters are already before the presidential election petition tribunal. So I think he's right in that regard. After establishing that, he then went on to talk about positives. What are these positives he talked about? About how we saw a multi-party democracy alive and well in Nigeria. About how, in terms of self-assessment, he says INEC did well. That beavers, as opposed to smart card reader, performed up to about 98%. Of course, there will be persons who will not agree with that. Number three, he said that the presidential and National Assembly elections were held, as scheduled. But of course, it was careful enough not to go into the details that are before the Presidential Election Tribunal, which is indeed part of the process. The tribunal will come up with its own findings. After all, that same yesterday, when he was addressing resident electoral commissioners, was when APC was presenting his case and INEC was closing his case and all of that at the tribunal. Okay, but he then talked about challenges. I think many Nigerians will be interested in those challenges and what INEC and government and other interested bodies do about those challenges. Because those challenges, the most palpable one that we saw was that this review system that we do after every election, do we really learn any lessons? The one we did after the 2019 general election, one of the things that came up was internal democracy within political parties. We didn't see that. Another thing that came out of it was, people respecting the rule of law. People did not respect the rule of law. Another thing that came out was INEC saying that it will be very strict with its officials. INEC officials were helping people to snatch ballot papers and to fill forms clandestinely and manipulate results. Okay, you mentioned technical glitches. Who are those INEC officials that are involved? However, Professor Yakubu told us that the police that is responsible for arrest, investigation, has submitted 215 case files to INEC for prosecution. Now, I said earlier on this program, maybe some people didn't hear me well, they were sending me messages. Section 145 of the Electoral 2022 deals with the trial of offenses. So, INEC, section 145 sub 2 says INEC can prosecute. However, opinion is divided on that. Some lawyers say, no, INEC doesn't have such powers. That is only the AGF or the police that can prosecute, because electoral offense is a criminal offense. Okay, these are some of the things we still need to also address in reviewing the electoral framework. But INEC itself, 2 months ago, 4 months ago, said that it was overburdened. that it will have to conduct election. At the same time, it will be burdened with the task of prosecution. And that was why the INEC chairman himself was asking for an electoral offenses commission. And which was why I argued earlier that this 10th National Assembly, that's one of the things it will have to address. And many of the other recommendations as contained in the Waste Commission report, which nobody has acted upon. Because Nigerians would like to see those 215 offenders prosecuted and sanctioned, including INEC officials and their ad hoc agents. And how did the number reduce from 774 that the legal advisor of INEC told us 2 months ago? How did it come down to 215? Did the police choose to just forgive some of the offenders?
Yes.
Or they could not establish any prima facie case against them, as it were?
Very good question. Rufai.
Ojo, I love Nigeria.
I love Nigeria too.
I know this country will work, but currently it's a funny scene we have. If we want to build a country, we tell ourselves the truth. The first question I'd like to ask INEC, because INEC has finished his deposition in court now. They finished his defense. They finished their defense. What happened as regards the glitch? Is it also part of their review? After the defense, we did not even see. So now I'm as confused as the first time they talked about the computer glitch. Because after the defense, I have not seen anywhere the real reason for the glitch was talked about and where it was enunciated, a technical report on the glitch. Secondly, INEC said the police sent forward 215. What I laugh? Same police that a police chief was coming to defend somebody that made a very, very incendiary statement. Same police chief defending him on live TV. So is it the police that wants to help prosecute electoral offenders? Did you also see the part of the report that said the police watched on as ballot boxes were snatched? Didn't we see on live TV that day and I came and I challenged the police here? Was it in Lekki or around that area, Ekate, where people were taking ballot and the police officer was just looking? And the police spokesperson said it was just one officer, he couldn't challenge them in return. Didn't we see how police officers were taking ballot boxes away in rivers? Didn't you see the video?
Absolutely.
So it's the same police that want to give electoral offenders to INEC to prosecute. We are joking. And why do lawyers even have to prosecute pro bono? Can't INEC put some money aside for its own litigation in its budget every year? How is he spending his own money for litigation? You see, the reason why we talk about election review and nothing happens is because personal interest is more than institutional interest. It's as simple as that. And it's not today we've been hearing about cases like this. As long as you have a personal interest that overrides institutional interest, our institutions become suspect and they're easily swayed. And that's why to defend our institutions become problematic. If we want to make elections work, the day the key stakeholders in Nigeria decide to have free and fair elections, we'll have free and fair elections. As we speak today, we have not decided. And that's why it's still about who can manipulate the system better.
Right.
Also, Electoral Offenses Commission, I think even the first step of the review is INEC going back to the Waste report. Till date, we've been talking about Electoral Offenses Commission. Since the Waste report, we forget in a hurry, the Waste report was 2008, 2009. And today we have not done anything. It just shows we are not ready.
All right.
Also, the electoral laws that we have seen many lacunas. We have started this 10th National Assembly. How are they going to review those laws? Are they going to do it? We are not ready. This was the same INEC law that President Buhari chose not to sign before he finally signed it after he had won elections in 2019. Another question we would like to ask INEC. Yes, the BVAS system worked. There was better accreditation and all of that. But will INEC also tell us where they keep the data that they had to wipe out the BVAS accreditation system when they wanted to do the governorship election?
All right.
Because there are many questions we should ask in this review. And if INEC is not ready to forensically analyze what constituted the technical glitch they've not given us a report for, I don't think the review has started. So we know how to make Nigeria work. But today, because it still favors a few lot of us, we continue in our ways. But I know this country will do well. It will rise up and it will achieve its full potential one day. But today, the key stakeholders are not ready.
Well, all right. We'll take another story. The insecurity in the southeast and the Monday sit-at-home order imposed by a group of Biafra agitators has taken a different dimension. The Governor of Enugu State, Mbah, last month banned the sit-at-home order in his state and has ordered all public servants and political office holders to begin reporting to their places of work on Mondays or face sanctions. In Anambra State, Senator Mbah, who represents Anambra South in the Senate, has also expressed his concerns regarding the sit-at-home. Well, in the trending video, the senator emphasized the need to put an end to the practice and cautioned Simon Ekpa, a self-proclaimed prime minister of Biafra land, who lives in Finland and has been agitating for the sit-at-home to observe his sit-at-home order in his village.
To you, Simon Ekpa, and Yakubu, for any one of you to mention sit-at-home again, you must come down to Nigeria. You must tell people where your industry, where your office is in Southeast that is observing sit-at-home. You will start chanting this at home. You will start pushing sit-at-home from your opponent before you continue to mention Anambra State and name. You have your parents in the polling there. Their state is APC state. And you have never ever one day mentioned their state Ebony. Ebony don't observe it at home. You are in Finland contesting for councillorship or whatever. You go to your job on Mondays. But you want to ridicule us. You want to deprive people because you have communication gadgets. You have internet to run propaganda.
Mbah spoke very well, and his advocacy is quite apt. There have been a back and forth between the two. I believe Simon Ekpa has responded on social media, but I think it is so important to highlight the story because a lot of Southeasterners are dying. They are not only just dying physically, their businesses are suffering. But also he mentioned the fact that Simon Ekpa is from Ebonyi State. There's that trending video that has come up, this on Monday. I think it was July 4th that this happened. They were shooting sporadically and threatening Igbo business owners to stop their business. This is uncalled for and it needs to stop. We urge the security forces right now to, forge ahead in the Southeast to stop these criminals. They are criminals. Yeah. You know that the indigenous people of Biafra has distanced themselves from this whole mess. They started this sit-at-home when Nnamdi Kanu was put in, in jail or in detention. But, they called it off and they've just said, you should sit at home only when he appears in court. So these people are criminals because even Nnamdi Kanu has also said that the sit-at-home should stop.
Yes. And thank you very much for highlighting this story because I think that it's time for the people in the Southeast to rise up.
Yes.
One man in Finland, as Senator Mbah has described, cannot hold the people to ransom in terms of their economic livelihood. Every Monday, and for many people who are from that region, complain about it. You hardly find someone who is in that region who likes the sit-at-home order because people are losing money. People are losing money, their livelihoods are affected, and one man sits, as Senator Mbah describes, in front of his nice equipment and is giving orders that do not affect him. The orders don't affect him because he's cushioned in Finland, enjoying a system that works in a secure environment. In Anambra State, when he asked for the 1 week sit at home, they defied the order. The governors have woken up, the newly elected governors, and said, we can't continue to have one man hold the people to ransom in the Southeast. And I'm glad that not only did the Anambra residents refuse to sit at home, people like Senator Mbah are now being vocal about this. This is what should have happened a while ago.
Absolutely.
They ought to have been vocal about it. They ought to have stood up against what is oppression and asked the people to go about their daily life. You can protest, but you cannot cut off your nose to spite your face. You cannot stop the people from earning and making a life for themselves because you're protesting. It's double jeopardy. So you're affecting the people whom you claim to represent by standing up for a cause. Absolutely deplorable. I'm glad they're speaking up. And I think further, and this is a question we keep asking, when we have conversations around the security chiefs, something has to be done. We can't have people afraid or their shops bungled or they are threatened or even killed because they decide to defy the order. If I don't want to stand with a particular campaign or a particular response or protest, then I should have that right to choose.
Absolutely.
Not giving people a choice in itself is criminal.
Absolutely. Dr. Abati, one minute.
Very briefly, because we're managing time.
Absolutely.
Number one, there is seriously a problem of insecurity in the Southeast.
Absolutely.
That has been there and that has continued. One of the things that this day newspaper, in that story, looking at 30 days of Tinubu, 30 challenges, 30 appointments, one of the things that report, which I commended here, I indicated was insecurity in the Southeast and other parts of the country. Now, in the Southeast, IPOB says it's not involved in a sit-at-home.
Yes.
And IPOB, through Emma Powerful, has issued statements.
Several statements.
So who are those people? Yesterday, as you said, attacking people and threatening to kill. So the national security system has its job cut out for it.
Absolutely.
That's number one. Number two, that Ebonyi tape, they kept saying there will be no peace. People will be killed if Nnamdi Kanu is not released. One of the things this day newspaper identified as challenges that the Tinubu administration would have to address is the issue of Nnamdi Kanu as part of peace-building process in the Southeast. President Tinubu has to personally take a look, at that particular matter. And then number three, of course, is a point about Ifeanyi Ubah, senator, representing Inewi North from Anambra South, challenging Simon Ekpa. There is another video that showed him and other people patrolling the streets of Anambra State yesterday. Well, the urgency of this matter is now, so that we don't have a blowout in the Southeast. Where there is peace in the Southeast, there will be development.
Absolutely.
Governor of Anambra State, Governor Soludo, has been saying people should come home and invest. People should come home and invest and stop investing outside their own territory. How will people come home if there's so much insecurity?
Well said.
Imagine the cost of people sitting at home on Mondays. Nobody has calculated it. It's a lot, both at the personal level and also at the economic level.
Well said, Dr. Abati.
Let peace reign in the Southeast. Let's say no to this Monday sit-at-home. It's destroying the people they claim they are fighting for.
Absolutely.
And please, Simon Ekpa, watch it. You're causing a lot of chaos here, and you're living in the freedom of democracy in Finland. Have a conscience. Check your own conscience. Nobody is saying that the marginalization protest is not valid, but you are causing rancor because a nation like Finland has a system working, and you are destroying your own homeland.
Right.
Have a conscience, Simon Ekpa. Have a conscience.
Well said, Rufai. We'll take our final story. The Guinness World Records has issued a short statement to people attempting to break world records. This is as more Nigerians have been giving the organization a shot since Hilda Bassi's success at breaking the record for the longest cooking marathon by an individual. Well, on Tuesday, Joyce Ijeoma, who began her 3-day attempt to set a new world record for the longest massage on different individuals, collapsed after achieving a total of 53 hours at the event venue in the Lekki area of Lagos State. Dr. Abati, when I saw this video, I have to applaud the move to start with, Dr. Abati, because I think she did about 53 hours. I think she was attempting 72 hours. And
I'm not sure she did up to that.
No, I think they said she did
very early, about 20-something hours.
No,
okay, 52 hours.
53 hours, and I believe the longest is about 25 hours. An Indonesian man or something like that. And I believe she must have a South African in Indonesia. Exactly. So I think she had done very well. But in that short statement, Guinness World Record advised participants to properly confirm with their team before attempting to break any world record. Dr. Bati, over to you.
Number one, what is the attraction with the Guinness World Records? It's like every Nigerian now is looking at that. Since Hilda Bashi got into that Guinness World Record, the entire country has been turned into a kitchen. They are cooking from Lagos to OjyOkpe, to Ibadan, where you have Temitope Adebayo, Chef Dami, Chef Temitope, Chef whatever. You know, and then one lecturer.
I will cook ambulance.
One lecturer at Fuyi, Federal University of OjyOkpe. That one says he's doing hackathon. You know, what a country. He wanted to do a teaching marathon. The part of it that I find really instructive is that somebody wants to do massage non-stop. And then there's something that is already catching up for people's information. Pregnaton. Pregnaton. You know, where some Nigerians are saying they will break world records this year in terms of the number of women that they impregnate. I don't understand it.
Please. The economy is not good. Don't try to.
Pregnaton. Is it because of the Davido story? Davido was shown virility from France to where is that again? To America, to Nigeria. No, I don't know. Do they get money from this Guinness World Record thing?
Eventually, we establish that with
from endorsements, sponsorships, invitations.
Okay, that's the attraction.
That's the attraction, hopefully. Well, all right. I'd like to know.
It just demonstrates that people are not. They don't have work to engage themselves in Nigeria. It's any opportunity.
Absolutely, we have to go. Rufai.
I am seeing a lack of originality. Hilda Bassi was original in her quest.
Yeah.
Go and look for something that makes you unique. It might not be Guinness Book of World Record.
Okay,
Search for your originality. Don't join the bandwagon. You can do it.
All right.
Be original.
Well, all right.
Be within yourself.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending Today. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending Today. I'll see you all tomorrow.